Bringing an end to insecurity has been one of the campaign promises the Buhari administration has had a hard time tackling. Before the All Progressives Congress, APC took power from the People's Democratic Party, they constantly criticized the past government for its inability to tackle the problem. To aid the fight against insecurity in the northeast and other parts of the country, the president ordered the purchase of 12 Tucano fighter jets, amongst other reinforcements that had been made. It's now been 7 years since APC took over power, but the issue still lingers on as terror attacks and kidnappings have become the order of the day. However, the presidency on Sunday attributed the delayed delivery of 12 Tucano Superjets fighters for the Nigerian Air Force to fight insecurity across the country to comments made by those it described as, in quotes, the opponents of the Nigerian government, including the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kuka. The presidency also highlighted that the poor interreligious relations between Christianity and Islam in the country were compounded by constant lobbying of U.S. Congress by the government's opponents, including Kuka. These were contained in a statement signed on Sunday by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, titled, "Predicting Nigeria's Collapse is a Perennial Pursuit of U.S. Think Tanks and Policy Experts." Joining us on the show this morning as we take a look at this latest statement from the presidency and if this is a move to deflect the blame for their inability to deliver their campaign promise is Dele Farotimi. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Dele.
Good morning, Todon. I wish I could say it's a pleasure to see you, but I'm the one who is not able to see you, but I'm sure you can see me. It's a pleasure
I can see you clearly, and it's a pleasure to see you, Dele.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, Dele Farotimi. The Nigerian government says
and that's Doc.
Yes, yes, from the voice, I'm sure. Yeah, okay. The Nigerian government is saying that it's doing the best that it can possibly do to tackle insecurity in Nigeria. And from the Minister of Information to Femi Adesina to Garuba Shehu to the security chiefs, we understand that, yes, whatever anybody may think, that the government is doing very well. But that one, and this is the statement Tudun was referring to, that the U.S. has been inconsistent in terms of the support it has provided Nigeria so far with regard to the security challenges in the country. Two, the government blames northern and southern religious leaders, particularly Christians, of demarketing the country. And in the statement by Garuba Shehu, he narrowed it down to Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, of the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Sokoto. And he accused him of having spoken to Congress, although Father Kuka himself on this program said he did no such thing, but that he has a responsibility to say the truth. Do you think government is giving excuses and looking for scapegoats?
Doc, I don't know if you can. Okay. Okay.
Do you think the government is just merely giving excuses and looking for scapegoats, rather than taking this matter, frontally and making sure that Nigeria is safe enough in every part for us to have, successful polls in 2023?
Good morning, Doctor. And Rufai, I know you're there, so I'm saying good morning to you as well.
Sir. Morning.
Well, yeah, it's, I think it's Lord Baelish, some character in Game of the Thrones. He said something I believe should be instructive and should help us to untangle the mess that this situation appears to be. He said, when you examine something through the prism of normalcy and it does not appear to make sense, I'm paraphrasing him, then you should begin to assume that it is what you are looking at and not what you are thinking that it should be. When you speak and you listen to the presidential spokespersons and even the president himself, the people around him, I think it's time that Nigerians began to listen to some of us that you might have considered a little insane earlier on. And I'll say why I say this. Back about 2018 or 2017, I posted something online. I said, I hope that President Buhari will not be the last president of Nigeria. And I pray that is the case. And then I went further. I said there would appear to be a destabilization plot against the Nigerian state and that it is rooted in the Nigerian presidency. I have my reasons, and I will substantiate this. The Americans that have been said to be inconsistent, I would also deal with that in answering you, because they have contributed to the problems we have today. Back in July 2015, Obama, whilst receiving General Buhari at the White House, he said his election was a major step towards deepening Nigerian and African democracy. Those were Obama's words. He went further. He said Buhari had a reputation for integrity and that the anti-corruption battle was said to be dealt with once and for all. This was in July 2015. Nigerians were themselves as euphoric about President Buhari's election as the Americans were. High hopes. It took 6 months before we had a list of angels for ministers. So first of all the American expectations, which is where I begin to agree with the inconsistency tag that has been laid on the Americans. The question is, what is consistent in America's position in Nigeria? It's always been American interest. Now, the second thing that we now need to deal with consistently is, if the president is truly interested in the security of Nigerians, I would say that I don't believe President Buhari is interested. If anything, there would appear to be deliberate steps that have been taken to weaken the capacity of the Nigerian security forces in dealing with the security menace that we have in Nigeria. I am in Abuja today. I cannot travel 50 kilometers outside the Abuja city limits without armed escort. And we is the nation's capital. Kaduna, which is more or less the capital for the military infrastructure, you can't travel there by road, you can't travel there by air, you can't travel there by rail. And in this country today, you would think that the only problem Nigeria has, Yele Sowore, Nnamdi Kanu, Igboho, these are the problems of Nigeria. Vast part of Nigeria have become ungovernable for the Nigerian state. People are paying taxes to bandits who are actually terrorists. But they are still talking as though Bishop Kuka was fishing facts out of fiction. Reality is that each and every Nigerian, particularly those domiciled in the northern part of Nigeria, live with the reality of insecurity on a daily basis. It's their living reality. So when the government spokesperson comes out and attacks someone like Kuka, and I must say that someone like Reverend Azan Kuka, I've never met him before. But he's one of those people, you might disagree with him, and I do have a lot of disagreements with his position sometimes, especially in his belief that you can somehow reform this place without doing a root and branch thing with it. But at the end of the day, you cannot quarrel with the sincerity of his criticisms and his position. And to then have men who are denying what is before all of us that we can all see and say that, so what if they brought 100 Super Tucanos? How does it change the fact that Commodore Olawumi was on here? He said they have given names of Boko Haram sponsors to this government since 2018 or thereabout. Up till today, not a single one of those persons have been named in public or have been prosecuted. Up till today. The UAE handed the list of Boko Haram sponsors to our Attorney General. What has he done with it? But he was very quick to start talking about the sponsors of Sunday Igboho. They were quick to begin to slam terrorism charges on Yomoyele Sowore. Look, the reality is that this government is not interested in fighting banditry because it is complicit in the mess. It pains me that I'm being forced to quote a person like General Abacha. But I do recall him saying something to the effect that if insurgency goes beyond the 24-hour band, the government is involved. I don't think it is beyond the pale to ask this government to simply tell us what it is that it knows that is already in the rumor mills that the rest of Nigerians have not been clued up to. At least the terrorists were unambiguous in saying that the president knows their demands. It is only right that those of us who are paying the price in blood and tears on a daily basis should also be allowed to know what it is, what debt has been owed that is unpaid. The Yorubas have a proverb, and I think I'll close this part of the question with that. They say that ẹni tó sùn là ń jí, ẹnìkan ò kí ń jí apirọrọ. You do not wake the person who is pretending to be asleep. The only thing this government has done successfully for 7 years is to pretend to be securing the lives and properties of Nigeria. If you are talking about Americans refusing to hand you Super Tucanos, have you considered the fact that as of 2017, the Air Force went and bombed the refugee camp? These are all the kind of atrocities that the Americans look at beyond their own narrow, selfish interests to justify withholding security systems from us, because we have an appalling human rights record, especially our armed forces. I can speak to that because of Lekki. I can. The Lekki toll gate is sufficient for me to speak to that. There is a panel of inquiry that has said that our armed forces killed innocent civilians with protesters holding flags. So do the Americans require more excuses to meet their own strategic goal? I can't blame the Americans. We are the ones who need to decide what it is that is in our own strategic, selfish interest. Ukraine, tiny Ukraine, is showing the world that you sometimes presume too much when you think you know it all and you have all the indices in your hand. The way we are, the president and the entire security forces, and I cannot blame the security forces because they take their cue from the commander-in-chief. The commander-in-chief is complicit in this mess.
But the finger has been pointed elsewhere. What that statement that was signed by Garba Shehu is saying is that if not from some meddlesome tittle-tattlers running off to the U.S. Congress to tell tales, by now Nigeria would have vanquished the jihadist terrorists. I'd like you to address that point specifically, that claim that they are not to blame, the onus is elsewhere.
You see, when a man is patently guilty, the first thing he does is seek to obfuscate the waters. And that is exactly what Shekere Garuba and his crew are doing. This is a very simple, straightforward thing. The taste of any food is when you put it in your mouth. We are the ones who live here. If you're saying that some people are saying there is an Islamization thing or there is a... It is real. We can see it in real time. It is real. It's there in front of everybody. As at last year, Pantami issue was out in the public space. It's in the public domain. You have a fundamentalist Islamist, a terrorist sympathizer sat in your government. The whole world is aware that you have been given the list of terrorism sponsors in Nigeria. You've done nothing about it. The whole world is watching this. They don't need to be told that there is an ongoing persecution of Christians in Nigeria. It's not something that somebody has to be told. It is systemic, it is open, it is brazen, and the reality is that just because Shekere Garuba is saying that it is not, because Lai Mohammed is saying that it is not, it doesn't change anything. They can repeat the lie as often as they care to repeat it. The reality is that the person who is showing you a mirror by which you might behold your crass nudity cannot be the person you blame for what is showing you. You either fess up and then make the necessary adjustments to go back to the path of rectitude. Not that all this, look, they are deliberately muddying the water so that we will be discussing persons instead of discussing the issues. If the Americans have drawn these conclusions, they have drawn these conclusions on the basis of empirical facts that all of us living in Nigeria can also see. Is Nigeria a peaceful place? No. What are the issues that is causing the general problem, all the wilders that we are having? Religion, exacerbated by a president who is completely insular and would not acknowledge the diversity of Nigeria. Ethnicity, because of a president who believes that everybody around him should either be speaking Fufude or they must speak Hausa. So you are dealing with a situation that is real. We can see it. It's not the president's smoke and mirror team can continue all these, their arguments until they turn blue in the face, but there is something that does not work for them. And that is one of the reasons that I think we should all begin to stop dealing with these, their distractions that they continually throw away. Time. Time. Nigeria is at an inflection point. There is meant to be an election. They're talking about census. And I just told you I'm at the nation's capital, and I can't travel 50 kilometers outside the city limits. And they're talking elections. They're talking census. Now they want us to be debating which one of the many angels that have succeeded. So I think in as much as we ought to be responding to people when they speak, we should also be careful not to allow ourselves to be unnecessarily distracted by professional smoke and this thing is just noise. They don't want to deal with the issues Father Azan Kuka has laid on the table. They are either going to say, yes, these things are true, or they are false. The man he's been very kind to them. He's been very kind. He's just simply stated the truth. And unfortunately, someone like Father Kuka will probably still think that one of their type, one of these people, can still save us. That is where the point of divergence begins. But all these ones that they are looking for scapegoats, they are lying to themselves. Okay, so facts are crystal clear.
Okay, so Dele, what can save us? I mean, we've enunciated the problems of this country ad nauseum. What can save us now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I didn't get you, please.
I said, what can save us?
Now I can.
Now.
The truth. Only the truth, nothing else. I tell people the truth is both a sword and a shield. The truth is the only thing that can save Nigerians in this hour, because we are like less than a year from doomsday. Some people are sat today, they are gaming the scenarios. They are thinking about a succession game that is predicated on personnel changes, and some people are hanging their hat on the ability of one Superman or the other to save Nigeria. I am aware that the National Assembly has sent its fraudulent amendments to the state assemblies. It's clear that it will not go anywhere because it does not reflect the will of the people. Let's be bold enough to tell ourselves the truth. This country is not working and hasn't been working for the last probably 60 years. I'm sorry I'm going to take us back because it answers the question. I believe one of the president's spokesperson was talking about how democracy has endured since 1999. What he fails to acknowledge and understand is that what has endured is a coup against the Nigerian people. The 1999 Constitution, Decree 24, is a coup against the Nigerian people. It has endured in spite of their protests, in spite of their demands that it be removed from their neck. The only reason we've had the continuing wars and the deepening of the Nigerian crisis is the refusal to acknowledge the truth of the illegitimacy of that construct called the 99 Constitution. So when they point at it as an example of how we have had continuous democratic rule, is a lie. We are not a democracy. The will of the people have not been given effect to. If anything, the system has worked to curtail our will in a pseudo-democracy that does not answer to the yearning of the Nigerian people. So what can save us? The truth. And the truth is this. Nigeria would never have been if it had not been agreed as a federation. The Sardauna would never have been part of the Nigeria of today, this structure. And Nnamdi Azikiwe would not have followed anyone into this Nigeria, and certainly not Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who propounded federalism in Nigeria as a solution to the crisis of nationhood that was there even before independence. It is the jettisoning of the federal structure that allows each part to play to its potential and does not allow the domination of one part by the other that has led us into this cul-de-sac. They can keep circling around and around the same mountain like a dog chasing his own tail. It wouldn't change anything. Only the truth will save Nigeria. And that truth is that we must restructure back to become a federation. I was reading this report of Chief Afeba Balola's intervention in recent time. He's not a man I agree with too much, but I agree on that one point. If Buhari truly loves Nigeria, which I doubt, we should initiate a mechanism that leads to an interim government leading to a constitutional conference so that we might determine how we wish to be governed. For anyone to think that you can have personnel changes and then this lie would subsist and persist, the person is merely lying. It is not sustainable. Where we are is a function of the lies we've been telling ourselves. The belief that a sectional will of an hegemony that is rooted in feudalism can persist and be sustained over the rest of Nigeria. It might have spread to the ruling class. The ruling class has become one. It's become so syncretic that you cannot separate one from the other. The same people ruling in Yoruba land, ruling in Igbo land, ruling everywhere, they are your own type. But how is it any different from the central principle of feudal hegemonies? The people become poorer, the rulers become richer. Ignorance is weaponized, and the people continually suffer. So, if we must walk away from this tragedy, we need to walk back to the basis of our being together in the first place, and that is federalism. They can dice it however they care, but until that time, nothing will work.
Okay, Dele Faros, I get your point about restructuring, but other points you were making about truth as what can save Nigeria. Well, you know, truth is relative. And to many people, what constitutes the truth is an abstraction. Even Pontius Pilate asked a question in the Holy Book, what is truth? So you may recommend restructuring in a country of over 200 million people. Some other people will say, well, that is not the truth in their own reckoning. So that's the problem. Getting to build the consensus, the same consensus we were discussing with Osita Chidoka. Now, you brought up the recommendation by Chief Afeba Balola, SAN. Only yesterday, on another program, when I was discussing with Michael Zekome, SAN, I'd asked him whether indeed there is a legal framework for an interim national government in the Nigerian constitution. And you'll recall that the last time that we had an interim national government, it was the Court of Justice Dolakwa Akinsanya of blessed memory that declared that interim national government illegal, null, and void. So Chief Afebolala may have made that recommendation on the basis of what he thinks is a defective constitution. But is there any legal basis for that action? And is it even feasible for anybody to postpone or suspend the 2023 general election outside the framework of the Constitution? And even if it is within the framework of the Constitution, those conditions for declaring a state of emergency, those objective conditions are not here with us right now.
May I? Well, I'll first of all deal with the subjectivity of truth. The moment you subjectivize the truth, it becomes a lie. It is either the truth or it is not the truth. I know that people speak in terms of shades to the truth, but let's get something clear, Doc. Yorubas have a proverb. They say, Tiroba lologun odun, otok aba isheju kan. That is suggestive of the fact that when the lie travels for a season, the truth will catch up with it someday. I do not believe that the truth chases the lie. The truth is immobile. It stays in the same place, constant as the northern star. The lie travels all around and around and around, and it comes back to where the truth subsists. So let's be clear about something. People can keep lying to themselves about what constitutes the truth and what a lie might look like. But what I can tell you for a fact is this. The truth about Nigeria is that it would never have been if it wasn't based on federalism. It is unraveling because that federal system has been undermined. That is to get that out of the way. Now, to talk about legal framework, how do you speak to legality in a place where the laws itself are not predicated on the sovereign will of the Nigerian people? Decree 24 is a lie. It is not reflective of our will. I said if President Buhari will find the goodwill. I speak to that because as of today, however much I might quarrel with the legitimacy of his office or the legitimacy of the 1999 Constitution, I must admit to the fact that whether I like it or not, it doesn't change the fact that it is the law. But that law, to the obvious reasoning of anyone who is bothering to think about the future of Nigeria, it has collapsed. If constitutional order has not collapsed, we will not be in this mess. Yes, there might be election in one state and they will say, yes, we've had election. But does that change the fact that that election would not solve the problem? It would only exacerbate it. So when we are suggesting these things that might seem extra legal, because they are, it's because our situation is not going to be changed by trying to work with the same maze in which we've been placed, which it has guaranteed that you go round and round and round in the same circle and you'll find no solution. That is why I'm always talking about it being a revolution. You cannot continue on the same path and find a solution. You have to turn round. That is what a revolution is. Whether that will be a revolution spearheaded by the current authorities, however defective it might be, or one that will be dictated by those who are outside of our own will, because already today, other people are dictating the will of the Nigerian people, and it's not even the persons that we have pretended to elect. Other people are talking, and they are not elected.
Well, thank you very much, Dele Farotimi. Thank you for joining us today.